Well, what we've done in the context of the CrossMigration project is develop the work package on migration governance. And what we've been particularly interested in is trying to synthesize the existing knowledge on what we could call the drivers of migration governance, to understand more about how governance systems, as we might call them, make sense of various kinds of international migration. So our focus has been on various dimensions of governance, including policy, but also thinking about practices of governance and also relationship to wider public debates about migration in its various forms. I think there are three ways that our work on migration governance contributes to the development of the field. The first is through our attempt to synthesize fairly significant amounts of work on what we could call the outputs of governance systems, laws and policies and the like, to understand more about the characteristics of these kind of governance system outputs. Second, I think we understand more about the kind of the effects of these outputs. There's a very significant body of scholarly work which looked at the effects of policies, of interventions and of practices. And I think what we're able to do is synthesize quite powerfully that work. So those two contributions to study both outputs and outcomes of governance processes we would see as an important contribution. But beyond that, we'd identify a third contribution, which is to understand more about what we could call the wider societal effects of migration governance, because this is a field that links with many other key social, political and economic debates. And what we can do by trying to synthesize work on migration governance is make connections to social, economic, political, legal issues and explore the linkages between migration governance and other related areas. It's always difficult to think about the future, but I think what we can show is that to understand the future, we need to have a very good understanding of the past, because the future is likely to be shaped by the past. We would identify quite important path dependencies. So as we look at the way that governance systems operate and their effects, we think that they'll have powerful effects on the future. But beyond that, what we'd also suggest is that the research as it currently exists is very strong in demonstrating to us the outputs and outcomes of governance processes, to understand more about the laws, the policies that emerge from these processes, as well as the effects that those have on people's lives. What we think is an area for future research that could be significant and interesting as the development of the field is to know more about the processes of governance themselves, how decisions are made, who makes decisions, the ideas that animate these decision-making processes. That could be an area where there is scope for further research.